So today I will be making a Dark Souls 3 boss tier list based on difficulty. I know, such an original idea, right? But I wanted to do it because recently I finished a Dark Souls 3, and I also have done the DLCs. I haven't uploaded videos on them yet, but I have some recorded, so those will be going up soon after this. Not sure when, but they will be going up soon. So yeah, I wanted to do a tier list based on difficulty. So obviously the higher up in the tier list, the more difficult the boss. The top will be the most difficult, the bottom will be the easiest. Where probably only a few bosses will be, because in Dark Souls 3, a lot of the bosses aren't very easy. There's some easy bosses, but there's not a lot of bosses that are like pinwheel level. There is a pinwheel in this game, but there's not many. Starting though with Dancer of the Boreal Valley, definitely going to put it high up on the tier list. I think A. I don't think Dancer of the Boreal Valley gets an S. It's not that hard. It's just really hard. But it took me like a good 30-45 minutes to beat Dancer the first time, but after that it's not that hard, and it's not nearly as hard as some other bosses even first time beating it. Next one will be Dragon Slayer Armor. I'm gonna give it a C. It's not that difficult of a boss. I beat it in somewhere between like 5 to 7 tries or something like that the first time, and now it only takes me max 2 or 3 tries to beat it. It's not that hard of a boss. It's a really cool boss. I love the boss. I love the boss arena. But it's not the hardest boss by any means. It is a really fun boss, though. I love this boss. If it was a boss quality ranking, it would probably be an A or B, not C, but it's a difficulty ranking. Which one is this? Oh, the Twin Princes. I could see these definitely going in A. Probably, A or S. I did have a really hard time with them, but I don't know if they were as hard as, like, Nameless King or Sister Frida. I think I'll put them in A. I was going to put them in S, but then I thought of Sister Frida, who's definitely going to be top of A, or top of S, either Sister Frida or Gale. Who is that? Is that Soul of Cinder? I think that's Soul of Cinder. Yeah, that's Soul of Cinder. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't show all of the boss with these pictures. I'll put Soul of Cinder in S. A low S. Low S or high A? A low S. This boss took me... It took me longer than Nameless King to beat it, or at least as long. I don't know why. It's not that hard of a boss anymore for me, but beating it that first time was so hard. It was harder than almost any boss in the series. It's a tough boss, but now it's not that tough. I can beat it in a few tries. Very tough boss to beat the first time, though, so for that, it's going to go into S just for how hard it was, at least for me, to beat it the first try. Ancient Wyvern F. F for quality and boss difficulty. It's extremely, well, yeah, F. I've never died to this boss. This is one of the few bosses in the whole series that I've never died to. The level can be a bit tough to run through, especially with those axe swinging, the axe chain enemies. But other than that, it's not that hard of a level to run through to get to the boss, and defeating the boss, it's a plunging attack. It's a very basic, easy boss, not very good. Nameless King, though, goes straight up S. Straight up at top of S. Actually, I will rank them in order, so I'll put these ones just above Dancer, because I found them harder than Dancer. I think Nameless King took me a little bit longer than Soul of Cinder, but not that much longer. It was like 10-20 minutes longer. But Nameless King is not the toughest boss in the series, because Melania gets that spot. So, not the toughest boss ever, but it's a tough boss. What is this boss? What what boss is this? Is it Crystal Sage? I'm looking for Crystal Sage to see if Crystal Sage is on here. It might be Crystal Sage. No, that's Crystal Sage. Who is this? Oh, is that That's Walnir. Okay. It just shows the glowing bracelet. I can't see it very well. Okay, Walnir gets a D. I would give Walnir an F, but I find Ancient Wyvern way easier, and Walnir can actually be kind of hard if not necessarily hard, but you have to, it's a challenge of endurance sometimes with this boss. Because sometimes you'll go up to him, easily destroy the first right bracelet, or his left bracelet, and then the second left bracelet you'll go to, destroy. And then his right hand he will keep up the whole rest of the fight. The fight has taken me upwards of 10 minutes sometimes because he will not put it down. And the times he does put it down, it's either to grab or put away his sword, or it's so close to him that if I go to hit it, I'll get, like, killed by the abyss that is at the back of the arena by Walnir. So sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge of endurance, depending on if you get lucky or not with him keeping his right hand down. It can be a very annoying fight if he doesn't keep his hand down. So for that, I'll give it a D, but no higher than that. No higher than like a very low D. The Champion's Gravetender and Great Wolf, I think I'll give it a C just because some of the wolf's attacks can deal a lot of damage and be very hard to dodge, at least for me. I've only died to this boss like once or twice, but it can be tough. It's not necessarily tough in like the fact that it took me a bunch of tries, but it's tough in surviving to actually kill the boss. The first part is very easy. It's just a very basic PvP fight, actually easy PvP fight, even easier than normal ones. You kill that one, well, it gets down to half health, but you can easily kill it while it's summoning the werewolf. You kill that, the Gravetender, then the Great Wolf comes in and is tough, and then in second phase, it doesn't change much other than add a couple new attacks and raise maybe damage, but it's not that hard. Okay, Osiros is the next boss. Osiros, I'm actually going to give a B, not anywhere. I was debating. High B. I was going to give it a low A, but it's only for phase 2 because of how unpredictable it can be, and mainly for that charging attack that literally has 0 frames of windup. 1 second he'll be standing there, next second he'll be charging towards you, and you can't dodge it if you're right by him, but you also can't tell if he's about to do it because he doesn't wind it up at all. So it can be very annoying. I do like the fight, but I don't like the second phase very much because of that charge attack. It's very annoying, and I really do not like it. Next one is the Old Demon King. I'm going to give that a C. Yeah, C. It's a pretty easy fight that just gets easier as it goes on, as you get him lower health. At first I found it hard because I went to it a bit a bit under leveled. But once I went back at the correct level, it became easy. And it gets even easy, as I said, it gets even easier as it goes on because when you get him lower in health, he slows down, his attacks do less damage. Kind of like Sif from Dark Souls 1. But, yeah, it's not that hard of a fight. I've died a few times to it, but I haven't died. I think I've died like 5 times to this fight. I might be wrong. I might have died a few more times, but not that hard of a fight. Vort, unfortunately, is going to be getting a D. I barely ever die to this fight unless I'm doing a challenge. If I'm doing a challenge run, then I'll die to this fight because you do low damage. But even then, I don't die much. I don't die more than a couple times. It's unfortunately such an easy fight for such a cool boss, especially with the boss soundtrack. Kind of wish they made him a bit harder, but I do understand it's a early game boss. They can't make it Dancer of the Boreal Valley levels of challenge. But they could have buffed him up a bit more, given him harder attacks, more damage, and more health. Make him a bit of a tougher boss. Maybe bring him up to, like, C rank. Ooh, okay, next one. Sister Frieda. Instantly the top of S. Actually, C. I forgot to put them in order. C. Actually, yeah, C's in order. No, I think this one's a bit harder than the Grave Tender and the Great Wolf. Sister Frieda is currently my hardest boss in the game, including the DLCs. It is a tough boss. The first phase isn't very hard once you get a hang of it, and the invisible attack used to be very hard for me, but now I know what to do during it to completely mitigate it, usually. So, the first phase is pretty easy. Second phase is a little bit harder because you have the added challenge of Father Ariandel, but you can also just stay away from Frieda, and Father Ariandel is very easy to fight. So, the second phase is still, it's mainly a test of endurance is what the fight is. It's a test of endurance. And then the third phase, I still have not passed the third phase. It is so hard. She gets like Black Flame along with her Frost that she already had. She gets a Black Flame attacks, which a lot of them are very hard to dodge, especially when she combines the Black Flame with Frost and gets like 2 AoEs. It's a very hard fight that deserves the top of this list. The next one is the Demon Prince, and in first phase there are Demon in Pain and Demon from Below. This is not the hardest fight in the series. I'll give it like a mid-range A, probably. High A. But they are very difficult, but they aren't the difficult fight. They are difficult, but they aren't the most difficult fight in the series. But they are one of my favorite fights in the series. I don't know what it is about it, but it's one of the most fun fights for me. I absolutely love this fight. It is such a good fight. The first phase, you have to like balance out when they're powered up, and you have to get good at dodging the distanced attacks from the powered down one, and the powered up one you just have to keep pressure on, while also paying attention to the other one. And then the second phase, it's like one of the powered up ones, but it's way more buffed up, has a bunch of new attacks, and it actually changes the second phase. The second phase changes depending on which one you kill first, kind of like Ornstein and Smo. It is such a fun boss fight. It's probably like top 3 favorites in the game for me. Probably not past Nameless King, but might be past Nameless King. Something about this fight I just found so fun. I love this fight. Next fight is Half-Light Spear of the Church. This fight I actually just beat like a couple hours ago, because I've been going through the Ringed City DLC today. It's not that hard of a fight, because I'm not, at least it wasn't for me, because I'm doing offline mode, because I play on PC and the PC servers are down, so I can't do the PvP version. I would love to do the PvP version whenever the servers get back up, but that probably won't be for a while. So, it was a mediocre fight for what I got, but this isn't right. This is based on difficulty, and I think I beat this boss in 3, it was either 3 or 4 tries. I'll give it like a low C. But it could go way higher depending on how hard it is with PvP turned on. But I can't do that. I'll have to do that whenever they get the servers back on. Because it seems like a way better fight with PvP on if it's not a toxic player. Midir, instant S. Above Soul of Cinder, maybe above Nameless King. Not above Nameless King. Maybe above Nameless King. Yeah, Nameless King. Midir is one of my favorite bosses in the series, but even with difficulty, it's one of the most difficult bosses. It's above Nameless King, just barely. This one took me so long, I had to learn to not go under him, because I'm so used to that for dragon bosses. Not go under him, not lock on, which I'm also used to. Not necessarily for dragon bosses, just for any boss in general. I also had to learn how to dodge his fire attacks and make him do less fire attacks and more of just the bite and claw attacks. It took a lot to learn, but it's actually not that hard of a fight when you learn that. But the difficulty mainly comes from having to learn that the first times you beat him. Next boss is Gale. Now, I've only fought this boss a handful of times. I still haven't beaten him, so I can't quite fairly rank him, but as of right now, I've only gotten to the second phase. I've gotten him halfway down in health, about halfway down. That's the furthest down I've gotten him. I think I might put him above Soul of Cinder, but below Nameless King for now. That could very well change. I've heard he's like one of the most difficult bosses, if not the most difficult boss in the game. So that could change with more attempts, but as of right now, that's all I have is my handful of attempts I've actually done with him. So I'll put him right here, maybe above Nameless King. I don't think I'll put him above Nameless King. Actually, yeah, I did only beat him in a handful of attempts the second time I beat him, because he does get way easier after the first attempt. So I'll put Gale above there, but not above Midir or Frida, because I haven't attempted him enough to accurately know his difficulty. Next one is the Cursed-Rotted Greatwood, F. F for difficulty, and probably would be a D for quality. Cursed-Rotted Greatwood, I used to actually find one of the hardest of the first few bosses, because I thought there was only the front weak point in the first phase, and then the front weak point in the second phase, and then you had to do the last half of the health with just the hand. But now I found that there's like 5 or 6 weak points throughout the fight. And it's so easy, because the hand you just have to hit like 3 times after all those weak points to kill it. It's such an easy fight. Now that I know that, I barely ever die to it, if ever. Crystal Sage gets a bottom D, just because I really hate this fight. I usually kill it without any trouble, and I easily beat it. But sometimes, if I'm doing lower damage, or can't stagger it, or can't do stuff like that, or I get bad luck with the clones in the second phase, which are my main problem, because they can spam magic, and if there's no cover, then they can easily kill you. And even if there is cover and you go kill the clones, the real one can easily spam magic at you. I really, really hate this boss. This is my least favorite boss in the game, one of my least favorite in the series. Deacons of the Deep, maybe above Cursed-Rotted Greatwood, but not above Wyvern. They are very easy. Above Cursed-Rotted Greatwood, though, because that boss I don't even have to think to beat. It's a very easy boss. But they go above Cursed-Rotted Greatwood, just because sometimes I still die to them. If I'm too slow or not doing enough damage, they'll build up Curse. That's the only way I ever die to them, is if they build up Curse. But if they don't do that, if I'm quick enough and can stagger them enough and kill enough of them, then it's easy. I don't die to them. Abyss Watchers. This one's tough. Probably, I don't know. This is the boss I was legitimately stuck on for the longest the first time I beat it because I did not know the mechanics of the game. I was stuck on this boss for like 3 or 4 hours, but now I beat him in like my first 3 tries always, or at least almost always. And if not, that's like first 5 tries. But I think just for how long it took me to beat them the first time, I think I'm going to put them high C, top half of C, below the dragon armor though, because, no, above the dragon armor. I don't find them hard anymore, but just out of respect for how long it took to beat them the first time, I'm going to put them at the top of C. What's this boss? Wait. What boss is this? Wait, I also just realized, is that Ludex Gundyr? Wait. Just a second. Can I not? What is this boss? I need to see that image in full, or... Wait, no. I need to see that image big. Is that... Wait, no, that's Walnir. If that's Walnir... Come on. These pictures are so tiny. I can't accurately see them well. Okay, so Walnir is actually going to go down, then, to... Wait, what's this one, then, that I thought was Walnir? Wait, no, that's Ludex Gundyr. That's Champion Gundyr. I guess they didn't put Ludex Gundyr in here. Okay, then, Champion Gundyr goes here. It's a tough boss, very tough boss. Took me a long time to beat the first time. Now doesn't take me very much to beat, but most bosses in the game don't anymore. But it's still a very tough boss. It looks like the bracelet of Walnir. It's tough to see in these ones are easier because they're during a cutscene, so you're obviously able to see the full boss. But this one, you see a ring of light and maybe what's a person, and then you see the player and a health bar that you can't read the name of. Okay, so Gundyr is there, and Walnir is way down there. Is this Pontiff? I think that's Pontiff. Let me see what the rest of the bosses are. Okay, so Aldrich, Yorm. What is this boss? Is it a DLC one? Let me think. Definitely not DLC. What boss is this? That's Ludex Gundyr. Okay. Ludex Gundyr gets here. Very easy boss after beating him the first time. Even the first time, at least for me, he was easy. It took me 3 attempts. So I'll give that one middle of F for difficulty. Not much else to say about that boss. It's pretty easy. Pontiff gets below Dancer, but above Champion Gundyr. Now I find him very easy. I can beat him easily, but the first time I beat him, it took me over an hour. So I'll just give him low A. But now that I've learned to parry, how to parry him, he's very easy in the first phase, and the second phase is also very easy. Aldrich. Just above Osiris. I'll give Aldrich there. Not that hard of a boss, but also not super easy either. You have to at least try to beat the boss. Unlike Curse-Rotted Greatwood or Deacons of the Deep. You at least have to try to beat Aldrich, so I'll give Aldrich a B. And he can easily catch you off guard and kill you easily if you aren't paying attention enough. Yorm gets just above Curse-Rotted. No, above Deacons too. Actually above Ludex. I don't know where to put him because all these like bottom 3 bosses are all around the same easiness, but also Yorm is around that. So just because it's a cool gimmick and it's cool looking, I'll put him above all these 3 because they're about the same. They're pretty much the same difficulty. It's just preference, I guess. So I'll put Yorm there. So that does it for my Dark Souls 3 difficulty ranking for every boss. Hardest bosses I would definitely say are Frida, Midir, and Gale. It might not be Gale, it might be like Nameless King, depending on how hard it is for me to beat Gale, but I haven't done enough attempts at Gale for me to rank him well. But definitely these 2 are the top 2. Maybe. Who knows? Gale might end up being tougher than them 2. Probably them 3 are the top 3. It can change, though, depending on where Gale gets placed after I beat him. Whether he gets placed higher than these other 2 or lower than them. All depends on how long it takes me to beat him and how tough it is. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you would like to know when I next post, subscribe with notifications on. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.